Hey, what's up, y'all? It's Matt here with Tanks Lawn Maintenance. Sitting out here in the garage. I really need to clean this place up, man. It's dusty, nasty. I hate dust, man. I despise dust. Anyhow, it's 9:10. Yeah, 9:10. 10 minutes after 9, I mean. Sounds better. 10 minutes after 9. Friday evening, December the 1st, 2023, year of our Lord. And we're going to make part 3. I'm going to try to make this as short as possible. And like I told y'all before, this is going to be a pretty lengthy video. Pretty much going to be explaining the God element and everything that is going on right now with my situation. If you don't know what's going on, revert back to my last 2 videos titled The End is Near and The End is Near Part 2. This is The End is Near Part 3. But before I get into that, there's one thing I want to touch on real quick. I actually went back out today. I know the last video this afternoon or this morning when I talked to y'all, I thought I was going to be done for the day. It actually quit raining about 12:30, something like that. And it never really did get hard. And nothing was really all that wet. It was just a steady light rain, just enough to get everything damp. Well, I decided to go back out to get what I could done. I only got 2 more done because they were pretty. They wound up being pretty big leaf cleanups. Just a lot of the people that I have right now, their neighbors don't care about their yards, and their leaves are winding up on my customer's yard, and I got to get them up. So I've got 2 more. If it's not raining in the morning, I've got 2 more that I'm gonna knock out first thing in the morning, and then I'm gonna be done for the weekend. If not, I'll just take care of them next weekend. But anyway, while I was out, I was at the first is actually my second customer of the day, and across the street was a young kid. He had a 0-turn mower. It was just a Husqvarna 0-turn mower. I don't know what kind. I don't really know a whole lot about Husqvarna, but had a couple handhelds on there and a handheld leaf blower, and he was making a valiant effort to clean up some leaves. And I actually felt bad for the kid, but I almost went over there and helped him out. But I just had something come in my mind, if I help this kid out, he's never going to learn. So I just let him be. And he got there. I don't know what time he got there, but he was already there when I got to my customer's house, and it looked like he was about halfway done with the front yard, And I was at this customer's house for about 2 hours. I mean, it wound up being a full leaf cleanup, front and backyard. And the backyard is the lady's got like 7 crepe myrtle trees in the backyard, and the crepe myrtles just dropped their leaves, or they've got a few more leaves left on the trees, but the big drop happened this past week for the crepe myrtles around here. And the front yard was pretty bad because of the neighbor's leaves blowing into her yard. And so I went ahead and knocked all that out. And I got all that done in about 2 hours. And the way I do it is completely different than the way this kid does it. And he was just blowing these leaves up into a pile and raking them up onto a tarp and throwing the whole tarp in the back of his truck. And he struggled with that tarp. I did help him pick the tarp up and set it in the back of his truck. He had a very small trailer. I mean, I've got a 10-foot trailer, and it's a small trailer, but this trailer couldn't have been no more than about 8 foot. It wasn't a homemade trailer. It was a one of those one of those trailers. I'm assuming he probably bought it at Lowe's or Tractor Supply or something like that, but it wasn't a very big trailer, just big enough for his mower and a weed eater, you know. But he was out there doing it, man. I mean, he was giving it his best, and you can't fault the man for that. He's out there trying, and he's trying to win at life, man. You can't be mad at nobody for that. But and it's obvious that he's learning, because he had a lot of questions, and he asked me. He said, "Man, how did you get all those leaves up that fast?" He said, "You had more leaves than what I got, and I've been here since sunup. It took me about 3 hours to do the backyard, and about an hour and a half to get halfway done in the front yard. And I don't understand how you guys do this that fast and make the amount of money that you make." I told him, I said, "Well, for starters, I'm not making a whole lot right now." I said, "I'm a new landscaper myself." But then I went into how I do leaf cleanups. I'm going to tell y'all how I do it too. I know I see a lot of things on YouTube too about people hating leaf season. I hate leaf season for one thing, and that's because you get flat out filthy during leaf season. That's the only reason I hate leaf season. But you can make some serious money during leaf season. One thing you've got to remember is you've got to charge accordingly, okay? You can't just, when somebody has a yard full of leaves, you can't just go over there and charge them the same that you would for cutting their grass. I mean, it might take you 2 or 3 hours to clean this yard up. You charging them $60, $20 an hour. That's nothing if you're trying to run a business, or trying to keep a business going. You're not going to succeed. You're getting nowhere fast. But the way I do it is it's a process that I go through. I'm gonna say probably about the middle of September. I run high lift blades on both my mowers all year long. I run high lift blades, but the middle of September, I take those high lifts off and I put mulching blades on there. I use Ballard Ripper blades. You got Gator blades, you got other blades, you know. I put mulching blades on there, and I have a shoot blocker on my mower. And I also have a grass gobbler or leaf catcher, whatever you want to call it. And but about the middle of September, what I'll do is that's about the time that you start seeing leaves fall in this area. And what I normally do is, if I get to a yard and it's got leaves on it, I'll tell the customer, like, "Hey, starting today, until the leaves are done falling, we're going to go up $10 per service. And once the big drop happens, I'm going to charge you accordingly for that. I'll give you an hourly rate for that. And then after the big drop, we will go back down to the normal price." I've never had a customer complain about that. Never. Because their goal is to have their yard as clean as possible at all times. And $10 is not going to make them or break them. So the way I do it is I'll go over the yard. I typically use my 61 on most front yards. If I can get it in a backyard, I will. But I typically go over the whole thing just to cut the grass with the shoot blocker wide open, okay? The only time I close it on that first pass is if I'm going by a driveway, a road, sidewalk, or a flower bed. But 90% of the time, I've got everything blowing back into the yard. And what that does, that goes ahead and cuts the grass, and it also preps the yard to mulch the leaves up. It kind of pre-mulches them, I guess you could say. And then I will go back over the yard in the opposite direction with the leaf, or with the shoot blocker down. What that does is it mulches them up. I mean, it mulches them up good too. And then I'll go back on it with the leaf, or with the shoot blocker open, whatever you want to call it. the entire yard. Of course, unless I'm passing something that doesn't, if it's a situation where I need to drop the chute blocker, like a flower bed, driveway, sidewalk, whatever it may be, I'll shut the leaf blocker or the chute blocker for that. Time I get past it, I open it back up. But I'm dispersing all of those mulched up leaves and grass clippings. And as soon as I'm done, I will inform the customer that they need to run their irrigation for 10 to 15 minutes. Because what that does, it doesn't make it look as clean as it would if you just remove the leaves, but it chops it up into a dust that's fine enough where it just looks like there's a light haze on top of the lawn, especially on a Bermuda lawn. That's pretty much what we deal with here in East Central Georgia. It'll just leave a light haze on top of the lawn, and it's dust. I mean, it's basically just powder. There's really no big chunks of leaves in there at all. But what that does, they'll run their irrigation for 10 or 15 minutes. It'll knock that dust down into the ground, and it actually serves as food for the lawn as well. Puts those nutrients back into the lawn. Now, once the big drop hits, I will remove the leaves unless there's somewhere I can blow the leaves. Like, I think I might have showed y'all a video one time before where I was blowing leaves into a creek bottom. And I've got several properties that are like that. I'll blow them into the woods or into a leaf bottom. A lot of times I have a few customers that they want me to blow them into a pile and they use it as compost year round. And I'll do that. But if they don't have somewhere on site where I can blow the leaves to, I'll just remove them. And the way I do that is I have a leaf gobbler, or I have a leaf catcher, the grass gobbler for, that grass gobbler, it fits any right mower. As far as I know it does. I know it fits all the standards. But I made a bag with a tarp. I call it a leaf balloon. I'm sure it's called something different, and I think somebody has a patent on it now, but I'll show y'all the leaf balloon sooner or later. And but I think I posted a video or a link to a video. Just have to go back and look through my videos. It's a guy named Randy up in New York showed how to make the bag and how to use it, and I used that bag along with the grass catcher, and it makes very short work of removing leaves. The very first job I done as a landscaper was a leaf cleanup, and it was a little over 2 years ago, and it wound up what should have been a 2-hour job wound up being an 8-hour job. All I had was a residential backpack blower and 2 rakes and some tarps, and my wife helped me, and that's how we got rid of all these leaves. Now, granted, this was 3 years of leaves. These people had never cleaned their yard up since they've lived there. And but if I'd have had the system I had now, it'd have took me an hour tops. But you live and you learn, man. And but that's the way I do leaf cleanups. And I put a tarp down on my trailer, and I'll dump that bag of leaves, that leaf bag, I'll dump it, or the leaf balloon, I'll dump it onto the tarp on my trailer, and I'll take that tarp and fold it over the best I can, and I'll just run the mower up on the top of it. That way it doesn't blow out and I ain't losing leaves going down the road when I'm going to dump it. And then once I dump it, I just fold the tarp up and stick it under the toolbox in my truck. And I make a lot of money off of leaves. I mean, I make a lot of money off of leaves. And you can make some serious money off of leaves. And you really just have to find your own system of doing things. But that's the way I do it. And once the big drop happens and I get the leaves out of the yard, I do a leaf removal, then I go back to mulching leaves until they're all gone, because you do have some residual that falls here and there. And like today, you got your neighbors that don't clean up their yard, and all their leaves wind up in your customer's yard. So yeah, I'll continue mulching leaves until pretty much till the weekend before Christmas. And once Christmas is over, I'm basically done with leaves altogether. I won't even take a mower with me. I'll take a mower with me once a month just to level out the yard again, to make the yard look flat and give it that clean, crisp look. But I won't even after Christmas, I don't even put the mowers on the trailer really. But that's how I do leaves, man. And if I can ever, I don't like asking my wife to go with me. She'd go with me at the drop of a hat if I asked her to, but I really prefer her just stay home and let me chase my dream, you know. I don't want to bother her with that. But maybe one day I'll get her to go with me and get her to record how I do leaf cleanups from start to finish. And I'll post that. It's probably going to be next year before I can do it because the big drop's already happened around here, and that's done and over with. That's it's old news. It's in the books. But anyway, just wanted to cover that with y'all, because I know I see a lot of things on YouTube, and I also see a lot of I've also had people in the streets ask me as well how I do it so quickly. So that's how I do it, man. But anyway, enough of that, man. Let's get down to the nitty gritty of what this what does that say? What this video is all about. We're gonna title this "The End Is Near" Part 3, and I'm basically explaining the God element in all of this. And I'm gonna take you all the way back to the very beginning of my business, the idea of starting a business up until now. 2019, the very end of 2019, something significant happened overseas in China, and it wound up going worldwide. You know what I'm talking about. There's certain things that I can't say on this platform because I will get kicked off. We're going to leave it at that. But 2019, something happened and it wound up going worldwide. 2020, things got bad. A lot of people lost their jobs. The world was turned upside down. And it was just stupid. 2020 was stupid. There's no other way to put it. It was just stupid. 2021, I want to say it was the very beginning of the summer of 2021, I think. There was a procedure, a medical procedure that had been introduced, and a lot of people were scared that they were going to be forced to have this medical procedure done. And truth be told, the government tried to enforce this. They tried to make this a thing where you had to get it done, or you were going to be jobless. You know what I'm talking about. Like I said, I can't. There's certain things I can't say. So just read between the lines here. That's all I can tell you. My wife and I, we're Christians. We're eat up with common sense, and we saw right through a lot of the BS, I guess you could call it. And in my opinion, that's exactly what it was. It was BS, but it is what it is. You know, we went through it. We got through it. Now we're back in action. But once it came out that this thing was going to be mandated, we had to go to the drawing board. We have a house. We have 2 vehicles that we're paying on. We have 3 children to support. And I was the breadwinner. I told my wife, I said, we've got to figure something out. I said, we've got to start a business. I said, because if this thing gets mandated, we're not doing it. We're gonna be in defiance. We're both in agreement on that, and we're just not gonna do it. So we've got to have a backup plan. Well, the only two, I'm a certified welder by trade, okay? I have a CDL license in my back pocket. That's the only two things I have to fall back on. I don't like welding. That's not an option. The only other option is to buy a truck or figure something else out. Put our thinking caps on. So my wife said, well, you're not getting a truck. You're not going over the road. I need you at the house every night. And I said, yes, ma'am. I said, well, give me some ideas. What can I do to go into business for myself? Be my own boss and be the one that controls everything. She thought about it for about 15 or 20 minutes. She said, you know, there's a lot of people doing it. So I know there's a lot of competition, but you take a lot of pride in our yard and you do a damn good job on our yard. Why don't you consider lawn care and see where it goes? I said, you know, that's not a bad idea because I do like yard work. So I got on YouTube. I found a lot of people on YouTube. A whole lot of people, man. You got Jason Creel at Lawn Care Life. You've got Nick over at SG Ninjas, Saving Green Lawn Care up in Tennessee. Johnny with Blades of Grass Lawn Care down in Savannah, Georgia. Who else, man? It's a bunch of folks. Spencer Lawn Care, Sean and Savannah Spencer up in Ohio. And you got Brian's Lawn Maintenance up in Michigan. And then I discovered Keith Kalfas. And Keith Kalfas was life-changing for me, and in more ways than one. He's different, you know. He's different in a good way, not in a bad way at all. He's different, but he's different in a good way. And I can appreciate guys like Keith, man, because there's no this man. It seems to me like he's not putting on airs for anybody, and what you see is what you get with him. But I learned a lot from these guys. And I was like, you know, I really do think this is something I can do. We had some money saved up, had to pay a few things off. And I went out, bought a mower, bought a trailer. And I think that's the only thing I bought was a mower and a trailer. I can't remember, but I didn't even have a vehicle. You know, I had a Toyota 4Runner that didn't even have a trailer hitch. And it was a 2002 4Runner. My wife had a 2018 4Runner. It had a trailer hitch. The plan was to use hers for a year, save up enough money to pay cash for a truck. And go from there. Well, I started having trouble out of my 4Runner. And that was my get me back and forth to work every day vehicle. My wife called me on the way home from work one day, and she said, I think it's time we just get you a new truck and be done with all the headache. So I'm like, all right then. So we go out and buy a new truck. It's sitting out there in the driveway. That's my F-150. And that's what I use to pull my landscape trailer around. And, you know, we spent some money here and there as needed. Ran through our business first year. You know, well, let me back up a little bit. The yard in Augusta, at my full-time job, it started looking rough. And a guy that had previously retired, he was maintaining the yard. He has a bush hog tractor and all that good stuff. He was coming up because this is that old thick highway grass, that old Bahia grass, you know. Lots of rocks in the yard, and it's just not a very good situation for commercial mowers. And it really isn't. I mean, I'm not putting a mower on this property. And even if it wasn't my full-time job, I still wouldn't put a mower on there. I'd be scared to tear it up. But They were trying to get me to maintain it because I had talked to my supervisor, told him I was getting into it, and he's like, hey man, I'm your biggest cheerleader, big dog. I know people that do it, man. You can make a killing doing that, dog. So on and so forth. You get the gist of it. Started getting business, and I had to pull my trailer to work with me one day. Everybody knew that I was buying equipment and starting a business, or going to make an attempt to start a business, but I never mentioned anything else about it after that. Well, it was about midsummer last year. I had to pull the trailer to work one day, and by this point, I had that zero turn, that Spartan zero turn, and I had a push mower on the trailer, but I had racks on the trailer. I had a blower rack, just a regular buyer's product blower rack, and had a 3-tier buyer's product trimmer rack, and that was it. And I pulled that thing to work one day, and everybody raised their eyebrows. They're like, when the hell did this happen? And everybody started coming up to me, like some of my fellow drivers started coming up to me. They're like, bro, what's this? What you got going on the side over here? And I said, man, I told you I was starting a landscaping business, a lawn care business. They was like, man, I didn't think you were serious about it. And I was like, yeah, man, you've known me for the past 8 or 9 years. You know better than to think I'm gonna sit here and just talk out the side of my neck. And they're like, man, how do you have time to do that, man? Working 14 hours a day. I was like, you got weekends, and in the summertime, there's still plenty of daylight when I get off work. They were like, well, hey, man, I ain't mad at you. The supervisor said the same thing. I said, man, I ain't mad at you. Do your thing, big dog. Make it while you can. I wish you nothing but the best. Next thing you know, word started getting out to some of our members of management. It was the vice president and the president of operations in our company. They actually called me one day on a 3-way call or whatever. However they did it. It was one, I think they had me on speakerphone and they were standing side by side with each other. But they were like, man, when I hear you got your business going, man, and I'm hearing that you've got a pretty good setup going on. Are you is this something you're serious about? And I was like, yeah, I'm dead serious about it. I wouldn't have spent that kind of money on it if I wasn't serious. They were like, well, do you have a timeline or anything? About how long are you looking before you part ways with us? I said, whoa, it's way too early to even think about that. I said, I've got 2-3 years minimum, minimum, before I can even think about anything like that happening. At the time, I didn't realize how fast you could pick up customers and how fast business could pick up for you. And I tell them, like, man, I've got 2 or 3 years minimum. I mean, it's going to be a while before I can leave this company. And I was like, but when it does come down to time for me to make a decision one way or the other, I'm not going to leave y'all hanging. I ain't going to leave you high and dry. I'll let you know. I'll put in a 2 weeks notice. They're like, all right, man, just want to make sure, you've been here a long time, Tank, and we don't want to see you go. And you're a good driver, man, and a lot of the guys on the yard look up to you, man. And it also goes both ways, man. We've been good to you, too. And I'm like, I get it, man, but I'm not going nowhere no time soon. I'm not going to do y'all dirty. Well, not long after that, I want to say that was sometime in May or June last year. I can't remember when, but it was just a handful of times that I had to start taking my trailer to work with me last year. It didn't happen often. Everything I done was on the weekend, Friday and Saturday. Well, fast forward to September of 2022, I got in a major accident at work, and I nearly killed a woman, and the company was sued over it. And as far as that goes, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what's going on with that right now. The lawyer is not representing me. He's representing the company. So I couldn't tell you. But there was some animosity there towards me because of that, even though the other woman was at fault. So that started making things a little hard on me as well, on top of the pulling the trailer to work situation. Those two things started, that made me realize that things were a little bitter. There was a little bit of bitterness there towards me. I want to say it was December of last year. I woke up from work one morning, okay? This is where the God element really comes into play. This is where it actually all starts. Well, I'm going to take you even further back. Before I tell you about December, I'm going to take you even further back. The very beginning of the pandemic. Churches were shut down. I was a little hurt, because we hadn't been going to church. We'd been watching online services, but it wasn't the same. Now, my mom at the time was going to a mega church here in Augusta, and I'm not a fan of this church. I believe it's all smoke and mirrors, and they're prosperity preachers. Well, I'd been feeling a little down because we hadn't been to church in a few months. All of them were shut down. My mom called me up one day and she said, "Son, why don't you go to church with me tonight?" This was actually on a Friday night. She said, "Why don't you go to church with me tonight? It's the last night of a prophecy conference, and some guy, I can't even remember his name, but I call him self-proclaimed prophets. I don't believe in self-proclaimed prophets, but," and she was like, he's good. He's very encouraging, very uplifting, and I think you could use something like that right about now." So I was like, all right, I'm not going to tell my mama, no, I'm not going to hang out with you. I like hanging out with my mama. I love my mama. And so I went with her. And lo and behold, this man picks me out in the crowd and stands me up along with my mama. And my mama had been telling me for a few years that she wanted to write a book about her testimony. I don't know her testimony, but she wanted to put it in a book in story fashion. And but she stood both of us up, or the prophet stood both of us up, and basically told my mom that God told him that she's supposed to be writing a book, that she was put here for the sole purpose of glorifying God, and that she needs to write a book, and that she needs to seriously consider it because it is God's will for her. And I kind of just looked at her, blinking, like, what? And I'm thinking to myself, like, did you talk to these people? And I didn't ask her that, but I'm like, did you talk to these people before tonight or something? And she looked at me about the same time I looked at her, and we're both just kind of like, what? And he looked at me, and he said, "What's your name?" And I told him my name. I told him, my name's Matt. And he's like, "What do you do?" I said, "I drive a truck for a very large company." And he said, "That's not what you're supposed to be doing, son." I said, "Well, I got to make a living. Got a family to feed." And he said, that's not what God has in store for you. You're supposed to be a CEO of a company. You're supposed to be in a role of leadership, and you're supposed to be a leader of men." And at this point, I've heard enough. I said, all right, this guy's he does not know me. I'm not so sure that he knows the Lord, because I'm not meant for this at all. I'm just some laid-back redneck from East Georgia. I ain't meant to be no CEO of nothing. So I chalked it up as BS. Well, go back a few years earlier, when I first got saved, my cousin's husband, he prayed over me one day, and he told me something similar. And he said, dude, he said, I don't know what this means. He said, but I just have a feeling that you're bigger than the company you're at. And you're not made to work for another man. You're made to be in a leadership role. And you're made to be a leader of men, multiple men. I'm like, well, if it's going to happen, it'll happen. I was like, but that's not something I'm willing to pursue. I was like, I'm comfortable doing what I'm doing. And he said, I get it, man, but I'm just telling you, that's the feeling I get. And I'm like, all right, whatever. Well, fast forward to December of 2022. My back and my neck starting to hurt, guys. Sorry. But anyway, fast forward to December of 2022. I'm at work. Or no, I'm not at work yet. Wake up. First thing I do, my morning routine when I wake up is I pray. I brush my teeth, get in the shower, get my clothes on, go to work. Got done praying, went in there to go brush my teeth. Now keep in mind, I wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning. And I done just a basic prayer, you know. Thank you for this day. This is the day that you have made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. That's pretty much the gist of it. Just a good morning, Lord. How are you? And thank you for giving me life today. It's pretty much what that means. And I'm sitting here brushing my teeth in my bathroom, my master bathroom. We have 2 sinks in our master bathroom and a big long mirror in front of both of them. And I'm sitting here face down in the sink, brushing my teeth, going back and forth, you know, trying to get way back in there on them back molars as far as I can and on my gums and everything. And all of a sudden I hear, "Son of man." I look up, I look in the mirror. I'm looking around in the bathroom, like, what on earth was that? I chalk it up to, no. I'm hearing things, I'm still asleep. I shake it off, finish brushing my teeth, jump in the shower, take a quick shower real quick. Get out the shower, I'm drying off. I got a towel over my head, rubbing my sprigs growing out of my head here, you know, because I'm bald, ain't got no hair up there. And I hear it again. It's a little bit louder. "Son of man." This time, I know I heard it, and I know what I heard, and it scared the hell out of me. My hair at this point is standing up on my arms, and I've got goosebumps. I got goosebumps right now thinking about it, but my hair was standing up on my arms. I mean, it scared me. I thought somebody was in the house. And I walk out in the bedroom, look, nobody was around. I grabbed a pistol off my nightstand and I walk around in the house with a towel wrapped around my waist, looking to see if somebody's in the house. And I'm clearing rooms, you know, and I'm like, all right, now I know I'm going crazy. I'm just hearing stuff. Nobody's here. And I'm thinking about it the whole way, you know. Get dressed, get my water fixed, my lunch made and everything. Get in the truck, headed to work. Hear it again. "Son of man." I'm about halfway to the yard. "Son of man." This time, I'm really scared because I know what I'm hearing, but I'm scared to say anything at this point because my mind is thinking in the Bible, Son of Man is Jesus, okay? But there's another person in the Bible called Son of Man, and it's one of the prophets. I can't remember if it's Jeremiah or Ezekiel, but I wasn't thinking about it at the time. I was thinking about Son of Man being Jesus. Well, I get to work, do my pre-trip, check my load, get all my paperwork together, throw my hand trucks on the trailer, get on down the road. This is on a Wednesday morning. Get on down the road. I'm at my first stop. Hadn't heard any, from the time I heard it on the way to work and work, my first stop, all that good stuff, didn't hear it no more. Well, when I was leaving my first stop, headed to my second stop, there's about an hour drive there. Time I leave my first stop, I hear it again, and this time it's so loud that it's nearly earth-shaking. And I could feel it vibrate in my chest as loud as it was and deep as it was. And I was like, I'm freaking out at this point. And I turned the radio down in the truck. I'm listening, looking around. Finally, I muster up enough nerve to say, God, is that you? Then he speaks to me. I know you guys think I'm crazy. I know you do. I don't blame you. Because if you've never heard an audible voice, if it was anybody else, I'd think they're nuts. I would. I said, God, is that you? And he speaks to me. He said, what is it going to take for you to believe in my faithfulness? I said, what? He said, what is it going to take, Son of Man, for you to believe in my faithfulness? I got goosebumps, y'all, thinking about this. And I said, what are you talking about? He said, I've sent 2 of my servants to you. To tell you my will for you. And you still fail to listen to me. You got in a wreck. And you prayed to me for that woman's safety. And I did this so you would see my glory. But you still fail to believe in my faithfulness. I said, I don't understand what you're talking about. And didn't hear it again. Didn't hear anything else. All right, work stop 2, work stop 3. I get to stop 4. This time, my mind is spinning. My mind is working overtime. And I'm talking to God, praying, trying to get him to speak to me. He won't speak to me. I know this is God that I heard. I know it is. And I've heard people talk about hearing God in an audible voice. Didn't believe him. I believe it now. I know what I heard and I know who it came from. Because only he could know these things. Finally, I get to my 4th stop. And I say, God, are you telling me that you want me to leave my job? And when I said that, the hair on my neck stood up. Didn't hear anything. Nothing happened. But the hair on my neck stood up. I asked him again. I said, you want me to leave my job, God, Lord? And I just got this overwhelming feeling that I was being surrounded by something. and things got real tight. Like I could feel a lot of pressure on my chest, and finally it just got really uncomfortable. And I told him, I said, Lord, I said, if you're wanting me to leave my job, you need to give me a sign. I kid you not, as soon as I said that, I felt a release of pressure on my right foot. I looked down and my shoelace busted at the very bottom of my boot. I've never had a shoelace bust before, guys. Never. And I nearly have a heart attack when this happens. And I said, Lord, I said, you know I love you. You know I do. I said, but I have a family that I have to support. I said, I don't know how I can go about doing this. I said, my wife is never going to go for this. I don't know what you want me to do, but I cannot leave my full-time job yet. I'm not ready. And then it was like everything just left me. Everything. Didn't feel no more pressure on my chest. Didn't have no more goosebumps. Didn't have no more hair standing on end. But it's like he left me alone. He didn't forsake me, because he's gotten me out of a lot of things in the past year. But it was almost like he was turning me over to my own will instead of his. And in the Bible, that if you look in Romans 1, that actually is a form of judgment. You can be turned over to your own will, to your own sin. It's a form of soft judgment. And freaking out, my mind is, the wheels in my head are spinning 100 miles an hour at this point. I've got smoke pouring out of my ears. I'm losing my mind here. I get done as quick as I can, finish the route, get home. I'm telling my mom about it on the phone. My wife hadn't got home from work yet. It's probably about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I told my mom about it, told my aunt about it. She's got my cousin on the phone. I'm telling her about it. I called one of my customers that's another very devout Christian. Me and her talk a lot. She's an older woman, but me and her talk about God a whole lot. And I called her up, told her what had happened. And everybody's like, oh my God. And I've got my mom and my aunt reaching out to their entire prayer group, their entire church, praying for me, praying for wisdom and clarity on what it is I need to do. My cousin and her husband are praying for me, praying in the Spirit for me. Well, get home. I sent my wife a text. I said, we need to talk. And anytime I tell my wife something like that, she's like, oh my gosh, what did I do? Or what's wrong? This, that, or the other, And I told her, I said, no, nobody's in trouble. I said, nothing's wrong. I said, but we need to talk. I said, we've got some serious things we need to discuss. I said, I'm actually kind of scared. So she gets home. I tell her what happened. She's not wanting to hear it. Rightfully so. I'd be the same way. Not faulting my wife for this at all. She's a Christian just like I am. She loves the Lord too. But somebody just comes up to you out of the blue, I'm quitting my job. No, you ain't wanting to hear that. Not your spouse. And keep in mind, this is in the middle of December too. I ain't doing nothing. I ain't making no money on the side. So my only source of income is my full-time job and her teaching job. Well, we don't get into an argument, but she leaves out of the room. I'm kind of disappointed because she's not wanting to hear any more of what happened. I think she's more just scared and freaked out about what I started saying. And I would have been too. I'm not going to lie, I would have been too. If somebody would have told me this and I didn't see it for myself, there's no way you'd make me believe it. No way. So if any of you are wanting to turn this off thinking it's hocus pocus, hey, I understand. I ain't going to be mad at you one bit. I'm just telling you what happened. But if you do want to tune in and listen, keep listening, because that ain't the end. It gets better. So that's pretty much the end of that. Okay, so I think 2023 rolls around. I've got people calling me in January. Believe it or not, I've got people in January calling me wanting quotes for lawn care. February, same way. March, same way. April 1st rolls around, phone flat out absolutely blows up. I'm getting 5 or 6 phone calls every single day. Spring rush hits. I created a Google account. Things take off on me. It gets out of hand. Next thing you know, I tear up the spindle on the zero turn that I have. That's my main mower. I don't have a backup. Spindle takes 2 weeks to replace. Not because it's expensive, but because it's hard to get parts. It took 2 weeks to get it shipped. It took 2 weeks to get it shipped to the factory, for the factory to ship it out to me. So you're looking at about a month before I can get this thing. I lost probably 10 customers because of that. I was having to push mow everything, got backed up, and I lost probably 10 customers. I made a video about this. Swore I would never be caught in that again. Went and bought a mower, backup mower. That's when I bought the right standard I-36. Had it for about a month. The motor blows up on the Spartan. So I'm down to a 36-inch mower. I've got some gigantic yards that I'm having to mow with a 36-inch mower. Replace the Spartan with the right standard X61. Sell the Spartan. We in business. I'm good to go. About 2 weeks after that, 61, I drop it off a cliff down straight into a swamp. I have to leave it there for 2 days. No, I'm sorry, for a day and a half. No, leave it there for a day. I don't know what I'm thinking. I didn't leave it overnight. I don't know where I get a day and a half, 2 days from. I don't know what I'm thinking. Sorry, for a day. Left it there for a day. Happened first thing in the morning. It was dark before I got it home. 2 weeks after that, the 36 tears up. Wiring harness, warranty. Go up to Harry's. They called me 4 days later. Oh, take it up to Harry's. In the meantime, I'm push mowing again, push mowing backyards. I cannot get that 61 in. I think I've got 3 backyards I can get that 61 in. So I'm push mowing some gigantic backyards. I'm dying out here. 4 days later, Harry's calls me. Hey man, we got your mower ready. Stupendous. They told me it was just a, what was it? They told me it was just a fuse, a 20 amp fuse. I'm like, all right, man, I wish I'd thought about that, you know. But anyway, wasted probably an hour going to Harry's and back to get the mower. Get in the backyard, mower quits on me again. Same mower, 36, quits on me. Won't cut back on. I call Harry's, tell them what's going on. They said, man, bring it back up here. So I have to push this thing. It takes me about an hour to push this thing out of this lady's backyard. I'm by myself, y'all. Out of this lady's backyard and up the ramp onto my trailer. Take it up the road to Harry's. They got it for 2 weeks. I'm push mowing grass 2 weeks. I lose probably 10 or 15 more customers because of this. So you're looking at about 20, 25 customers that I lost because the mower's tearing up on me. Get it back. Man, we rocking and rolling, dog. We rocking and rolling. As soon as I get it back, hedge trimmer goes down on me. At the time, I had one hedge trimmer. At this point, I had spent so much money. I have a backup hedge trimmer, okay? It's my steel combi. It has the hedge trimmer, the articulating hedge trimmer attachment. I used that. Well, something happened. I can't remember what it was with the combi. Something happened. Couldn't use it no more. I lost another customer. It was just bushes only. Lost that customer because at this point I am refusing to go out and spend $400 or $500 on a damn hedge trimmer when I had already spent so much money this summer, and my funds are dwindling down, y'all. At this point, I'm scared to spend any more money. So I said, no, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. I just nick the top of these bushes that need it with a weed eater. I'm not buying a hedge trimmer right now. Lose that customer. This is a $500 customer. What else? String trimmer tears up on me. All right. String trimmer tore up. My backup tore up. The backup, or it wasn't the string trimmer itself that tore up, it was the head on it. I didn't have any replacement heads, and this was the factory head that comes on the steels, the one that you cut the line in half. I can't even remember what the name of it is now, but you cut the line in half and it holds about, I don't know, about 25 feet, 25, 30 feet of line, and it holds a good bit of line. But the head tore up on me. Go to Harry's to get another head. They don't have any in stock. They said it's gonna be a couple of days when it comes in. I was like, well, can you order me a speed feed head? Yeah, man, we can get anything you need. They get me a speed feed head. They said it'll probably be here tomorrow. I said, great. They order a whole batch of them. I buy 2 or 3 of them jokers just to have them for backup. Well, before I get that done, the backup weed eater tears up on me. Now I have to go to the other side of town because at this point I am done with steel power equipment. Go to the other side of town, buy an Echo 2620. The day I buy that Echo 2620, the mechanic that I use, he calls me and tells me, hey man, your hedge trimmer's ready. Great. Coming by there, picking it up, paying you. Get it home, use it. On my bushes, runs flawlessly. Take it to a customer, use it, runs flawless. Next house, have to knock a few bushes down. Craps out on me. Gotta be kidding me. Backpack sprayer. I ran over the wand with my mower coming off of the trailer. Had to go out and buy a $200 backpack sprayer. I use my backpack sprayer a lot. I'm losing customers left and right because I just don't have the time to get everything done because of malfunctions and because of my full-time job. All right, come August, end of August, everything's back to normal. Running like a well-oiled machine, I'm talking about. September, I have to go to trial deposition. It's supposed to be 1 day. Come to find out, they want me to go up there for 3 days. 3 days. So I'm having to miss work for 3 days. Come back, work that Thursday, I've got to be off Friday. Another supervisor calls me, hey man, how do you want to get paid? And I'm like, what do you mean? They said, you only worked 1 day last week. Are you wanting to use personal type PTO days? Or you wanting to use sick days? Are you not wanting to take any pay? How you want to do this? And I said, I don't get paid for this. I said, dude, I had to go to trial deposition to represent the company, not me. Y'all are getting sued, not me. He said, I know, man, but it was a wreck that you caused. I said, no, I did not cause this. I said, look at the incident report. She was at fault. Man, it's just company policy, dude. I'm just doing my job. All right, man, give me 2 sick days. I need to have something. So, all right, man, got you covered. He said, Tank, you've got 3 sick days left after this. So, all right. He said, I'm only telling you because I'm required to tell you once you get down to 3. I said, okay. I get sick in the middle of a week. Have to use a sick day. Somehow or another, I miraculously have 3 sick days after all of that. After getting sick and everything, they magically found a sick day somewhere. So, all this stuff happened this past 2 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks, however long it's been going on. I come home, tell my wife I'm about to get fired. Don't take this the wrong way, but my wife was prescribed some medication for her thyroid, I think it is, and but one of the side effects is it chills her out. It mellows her out. My wife's already pretty chill anyway. She only stresses about things that is normal to stress about. Okay? Well, I came home, told her everything that was going on. I get it. It is what it is. If you get fired, it'll be okay. God has never left us nor forsaken us. We've been through a lot. Hearing her say those words, and I told her this last night, hearing her say those words took so much off of me. It really did, because it let me know right there 2 things. For one, she's right. God has never left us nor forsaken us. We are his children, and he will not have us begging for bread. Okay? There's an old passage in the Bible. If God be with us, who can be against us? She's right. Number 2, it let me know that she 100%, beyond a shadow of a doubt, has my back. She is my ride or die chick. And it just made me think, about everything that has gone on since the beginning of the pandemic. This is a God thing. 2 people told me I'm meant to be a leader. 1 told me I need to be a CEO. The mandate. Started a business. Everything, God telling me to leave my full-time job, I refused to do it. I was disobedient. I'm still being disobedient. I'm not leaving. Not yet. If I get fired, that's one thing. But that's a huge step to take, man. And I'm scared to take that step. I'm not going to sit here and tell you a lie. I'm scared to take that step. But just the timing of everything. And the timing of my wife being prescribed this medicine at a moment that she would have otherwise flipped out if I'd have told her I'm about to lose my job. Not flipped out as far as being mad at me, but she'd be worrying herself sick right now. like any mother would, a mother of three, a wife. That's what women do, man. Men don't worry as much as women do. I don't know why, but that's just the way it is. And it's probably good that it's that way. Because if we worried as much as women did, we would probably tear some stuff up. We probably would. We'd probably kill people and tear stuff up. I'm just being honest. That's the way things are. That's the way we're programmed. I get choked up thinking about all this, man, because this truly is a God thing. It truly is. This is God ordained, and I am convinced of it, and you'll never convince me otherwise. And that's why I'm at peace. Because God has his hand in every bit of this. He is using a company that has gone completely rogue to get me where he wants me to be, where he would have me. You know, in the garden, Satan approached Eve in serpent form and beguiled her, tricked her into getting her man to sin. And ever since that day, man, we have been on a downhill climb, I guess you could say, a descent. But all of that is leading to one thing. From that day in the garden, it will lead to that day when God bound Satan or throws Satan into the lake of fire, and he will be bound there forever and ever, for all eternity. And then God will get his full glory. Think about that, man. God used the most evil of all creation to do his will, to get mankind where he needed them to be, for him to get glory for it. He is using a company right now. I'm not going to say they're evil. I'm not going to say that. But they have gone completely astray of what they used to be. They have gone 100% rogue. And he is using this company to get me where he needs to be, to bring glory to himself. The only thing that is standing in the way is me. And that's where I'm struggling, y'all. That's where I'm struggling. I know, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that me running this business is a calling on my life. I've been told by 2 different people, and I'm also being reminded every day. Oh, and since that day that my shoelace broke, it's happened twice since then. It's never happened before that day. It's happened twice since then on brand new shoelaces. Explain that. You can't. This is God at work. This is divine intervention. That's why I'm at peace, man. I have 100% clarity, 100% peace, and like the Bible says, if God be with me, who can be against me? I'm not worried about it, man. I'm really not. You fire me today, I'll be working tomorrow, dog. I hate to say that. I don't mean to be boastful. Don't mean to sound that way. Don't mean to sound proud, because I'm not. This is a low point for me. I don't want to get fired. I don't know any man that wants to get fired from their job. But if it's going to bring glory to the Father, let it be. But that's going to conclude part 3. And if I can think of anything else, if anything else happens between now and then, I'll keep you informed. There very well could be a part 4 and part 5. This might just wind up being a doggone soap opera. I don't know, but we're going to see. But look, Put God first in everything you do. Okay? That's all I can say. That's really all I can say about that. Trust Him. You will prosper. But it's getting late. My battery's getting low. And I've already been on here 1 hour and 10 minutes. This is by far the longest video I've ever made. Told y'all it was going to be a long one. I do apologize. But I'm going to hop off here. Go watch some TV with my wife for a little bit. Hopefully it won't be raining in the morning. I can finish them last 2 yards. But hey, man. You know what tomorrow is. Go Dogs. But look here. To the next one. Y'all keep cutting that grass. Keep making that money. Holla at y'all. Bye.